Welcome, everybody. Oh my god, for a second I thought I had sound problems, but my microphone was muted. Awesome. All right, I just want to make sure everything is working properly and that I'm not like, yeah, everything looks good. Okay. Let's talk about some stuff, shall we? Before we talk about stuff, check this out. I've been working on this program called BookForge. This not web app, this this desktop app. And I packaged it officially today. That was the hard part, getting it to package so that it could be downloadable, you know? This is not a public place, but you can go to owenmorgan.com/bookforge if you want to check out any of the major apps that I've worked on over the years. BookForge is on there and available. Anyway, you can select a book folder. Shared BookForge. There it is. This is what it looks like when you first start it up. So I selected the folder. The UI is blocking. That's not good. There it is. Okay, so the first page is setting up an analysis tool to clean up text. Like, you send an ebook through, and it's got the headers, and it's got the page numbers, and, you know, all the other image captions and everything. You can configure this to send it through for an analysis and remove the page headers and stuff with local models. Anyway, hit next, and you've got the voices that you can download. You've got Scarlett Johansson, which is the best. That comes packaged with the app. You've got Slade from Teen Titans. You've got, let's see, what are some of the others? Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. Is that what that's from? You got Neil Gaiman, David Attenborough, Cartman from South Park, Bryan Cranston. Anyway, I already have the ones I want on here. You've got language packs. Ancient Hebrew, Arabic, Czech language pack, Dutch, English, all of it. And then you've got different tools. Tesseract OCR, which is like it detects images in PDF files and converts it to text. And then you got Calibri, not strictly necessary, but it makes the app run a lot better. GPU acceleration, I don't need it here because I'm not on a CUDA-based system. Review and download. All right. So I think it's finished setting up the environment. If it's not, there's a bar along the bottom, a progress bar. Now, here's where it gets really wild. I set up a TTS server that a browser extension can connect to. We're going to get into the stream in just a second. I'm really proud of this. So the TTS server, I want to set it to CPU, 4 TTS workers. That should be good. So I'm going to hit start on the TTS server. But if you don't want to do the TTS server that connects to the browser extension, you can just like get books and go to the processing pipeline, clean it up to remove page headers and stuff like that. Pick that one. You can translate from another language, but we don't need to do that. Oh, yeah. I also have the language learning one where if you translate to German or whatever, and then you can interleave the sentences with this app. So it'll read one sentence in English, one sentence in German, one sentence in English, one in German. It'll just keep going like that. Or paragraph if you want. But we're not doing that here. Then you go to text-to-speech. You can use the CPU or the GPU. I've found on this specific system, CPU is best with 4 workers. And I would use the cleaned one, Scarlett Johansson voice, next, and then you assemble it. You can generate either a video that shows the text as it reads or just plain audio, which is what I would do. And then you add it to the queue. Go to the queue, you hit start, but this one is already done, so I'm not going to do that. And that's it. Just like that. The TTS server in the interim is now active, as you can see. TTS on. It takes about 2 minutes to get it to boot up. Now that it's booted, you can go to a news article or whatever, get the browser extension, which is also on the website, and you can play. It usually takes about 6 seconds to get going, to buffer, but once it's buffered, it shouldn't stop, depending on your GPU. So about 6 seconds, you hit the little play button next to a paragraph, and this little green ring shows how buffered it is down here on the bottom. Let's see if I got it to work.
Perone had been pregnant before and had suffered ectopic pregnancies before. In fact, the first time that happened, she required surgery and lost her right fallopian tube. The second time it happened, she was treated with methotrexate, which stopped the egg from dividing, effectively inducing an abortion without the need for surgery. When she became pregnant this time, she knew there was a possibility that something similar could happen. So when symptoms began to appear, she knew exactly what had to happen. She needed the methotrexate, and she needed it fast. Unfortunately, her local hospital, Advocate Good Shepherd, was a religious hospital with abortion rules similar to Catholic hospitals, where anything involving contraception or abortion is forbidden. That meant treating ectopic pregnancies was even more of a hassle. Simply put, these kinds of faith-based hospitals don't generally allow abortions unless there's literally no other option.
Anyway, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not flawless, but it's decent. It's owenmorgan.com/tools, not /bookforge. owenmorgan.com/tools. You'll see Bookforge and the Bookforge Reader browser extension. Briefcase is up there as well. Although, unfortunately, hang on, let me just see. Unfortunately, Reddit and YouTube and others are desperately trying to prevent people from downloading their videos, but I need to do that for my work. So I have to stay on top of it. Every couple of months, they come up with like something that breaks it, that I have to go in and fix the code, basically, create a new path to download stuff. And so Reddit is broken right now, and I've been trying to fix that on Briefcase. Because Briefcase, this is Briefcase. This is the app that I normally use right here that I wrote. I wrote this as well. And you can easily download videos. You can send it through an analysis. You can transcribe it. You can search the transcripts. And it saves it all. Keeps it all forever. I have videos going all the way back to 2018 here. Wait, why is this? Why do I not hear it? Hold on, let me open. Oh, that was one of the Reddit videos I grabbed that broke.
Was imminent.
Yeah, see? Yeah, I could pick any other. Hang on.
For us, it's about the saving of
our school system. I want to leave.
See the quick, and then you can open it. Opens in this, and it shows you the analysis on the side of the crazy shit they said.
They would have given him a
You can go to the transcripts, and it'll follow the transcript.
problem. The irony is that despite the left effectively ignoring decorum at all hazards.
See, it follows it. That's pretty cool, right? Anyway, I think it's awesome. It also writes chapters. So, yeah. That's Briefcase. But that's neither here nor there. I was here to talk about Bookforge. Bookforge, where I get all of my books completely legally. Yes, legal. All legal-like, as that MAGA nutcase says. All right, awesome. Let's continue on with the first story, shall we? That means that one video is broken. That's really disappointing. Shoot.
Honestly.
All right. I've had no end of trouble with this, but we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay. Let's get started with the first video then. First one that I want to cover. Let's see here. There was a specific subject I wanted to hit. What was it? Let's hit MAGA regrets. On on briefcase, where,
You know-
yeah, here it is, right here. Awesome. All right.
Does she think Trump understands what she is going through?
So apparently people are really regretting voting for Donald Trump. Check this out.
I actually have panic attacks. I've had a couple this past week.
Sorry, let me turn this up a bit.
Turn
it down.
And I get very emotional over it. I don't want to work anymore, but I can't afford to retire.
Obviously, President Trump is immensely wealthy, has been wealthy since he was born.
Yeah.
Do you think he understands?
No.
Obviously, he doesn't understand. Like, it couldn't be more obvious that he doesn't understand. But she probably believed that he did when she voted for him, right? All 3 times, I'm assuming.
No. He hasn't lived it to understand it. He sees it, he has not lived it. He needs to live it. Wear the clothes, wear the shoes, wear your Walmart clothes, wear your Walmart shoes.
Good luck getting those Walmart shoes on his gigantic ankles.
Do your thrift store shopping. Don't eat steaks. I don't get to go out to dinner. It's not an overnight thing, but it's been 2 years now. You said you'd bring down the grocery prices.
And you believed him? Really? You believed that? Like, unironically, you actually did?
Literally, I must be the most angry person when I grocery shop because I buy the same things every week. And I see it jump every week. It is not every couple months. It's literally every week.
Yes, it's insane. I genuinely, don't know how people are not full-on revolting against Donald Trump right now. Yeah, we have this example of MAGA regrets, but with how bad the economy is, oh my God. And I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that the stock market is just about the only good thing about the economy right now. And the only reason the stock market is as high as it is because of AI. It's an AI bubble right now. To my understanding, 80% of the stock market is because of AI at this immediate moment. Wait, is there more to this one? Yeah, check this one out.
When President Trump said he wasn't going to start foreign wars, when he said he was going to bring down prices, did you believe him?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You poor dumb son of a bitch.
his first term, I think he held true to everything that he said he was going to do.
No.
I think he fought for everything he said he was going to fight for.
No. Did you have your head in the sand the entire time?
This time around, I haven't seen it. He's backtracked on every single pitch point he had during his election. He's backtracking on. All we heard was drill, drill, drill during the election, and now all we're getting is drilled into the dirt with these prices. So I'm not a fan of him. I voted for Trump all 3 terms. To be honest with you, I'm not a big supporter of him at this point.
That's a pretty big deal. I mean, people falling away like flies right now. And I have another video coming up that you guys should definitely check out about the MAGA extremist cell, patriots.win, completely out of their heads, drunk on Trump. Very unhappy with the dude right now over Iran. Very unhappy. So it's not just people like this. It's like his most diehardiest of supporters. I'm telling you, the election is going to be a complete wipeout for Republicans, the likes of which we have not seen in 75 years in the United States or more.
3-time Trump voter. I'm not a big supporter of him at this point, is what he had to say. Now, that Ohio voter also had another message for Trump.
If you could talk directly to President Trump, what would you tell him right now?
Get it together, man. The average American is struggling to make ends meet right now. And nobody wants to hear the war's almost over. Nobody wants to hear it's going to get better.
Yeah, because we know it's lies. It's been lies this whole time. Every time Trump says we're on the edge of a peace deal, I know he's completely full of it. We're absolutely not close to a peace deal with Iran because this dummy can't, his ego will not allow him to have a loss here. And having a loss means anything, let me rephrase. And having a loss would mean getting the Iran nuclear deal back. Like anything below getting the Iran nuclear deal back, including that itself, would be a loss. And there's no way in hell he's getting the Iran nuclear deal back. It's not happening. Okay, it took people like 20 years to negotiate the Iran nuclear deal. It took countless people, like literally a generation, to make that deal. And he ripped it up like an idiot. He's not getting that back. Or if he does, that's still a loss for him because we'll be exactly where we were before he took office. He came in like a bulldozer and destroyed everything, up to and including the gas prices, for absolutely no reason. If all he gets is the Strait of Hormuz open, everyone is going to see him as the dummy that he is. The point is, there is no off-ramp here. There is no way out for the Iran war. There is no solution for him.
You've had a year to make it better at this point. Make it better. Make America great again, right?
More than a year, to be exact. And there was also a one-time Trump voter who had a more explicit message for Trump, which I think kind of encapsulates the buyer's remorse we've been seeing lately on a number of issues.
If you could talk to President Trump directly right now, what would you tell him?
Should you want me to really say it on air? I say you. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any leader, but he's.
I do. I'm sorry. You shouldn't have this reaction like, oh, you shouldn't be disrespectful to leaders. Yes, you should if they're doing something evil. And he is, obviously.
Disrespectful to us.
I'm sorry. One more time here.
Should you want me to really say it on air? I say you. And I don't mean to be disrespectful to any leader, but he's disrespectful to us, and he doesn't care. So,
thank you.
He's disrespectful to us, and he doesn't care. That again, a guy who voted for Trump. Trump's disrespect for his own supporters is essentially destroying the coalition that put him in the White House to begin with. And it's not just voters he's pushing away. It's also Republican politicians who have loyally supported his agenda, sometimes embarrassingly loyal. Now, Trump upended his party's plans last month when he decided to snub Republican Senator John Cornyn of Texas and endorse his scandal-plagued primary opponent, Ken Paxton, who then defeated Cornyn.
Dude, Ken Paxton is beyond scandal-plagued. He got drunk and went to the floor of the Texas State House, completely shit-faced, couldn't speak. He was so drunk, and he did it consistently, over and over again, and got impeached by Republicans for it. He calls up Donald Trump, says, please support me in this. Donald Trump calls every one of those state House representatives who were impeaching him for getting drunk on the floor of the House repeatedly, and the impeachment went away. That's beyond scandal-plagued. Okay, you can't do your job now. That's what that is. You're incapable of doing the job. And it's not like political, it's not like an attack, it's not partisan or whatever. You're literally getting drunk on the job repeatedly, okay? No excuse for that.
Now, for the first time since his bitter primary loss, John Cornyn is putting his own Trump buyer's remorse on full display in a new interview with the New York Times. And among other
right, because Cornyn supported Trump, right?
Things, he's predicting that Trump's final 2 years in office will be the most miserable of his life. And he's warning that, quote, I think it's going to be a pretty bumpy ride for the next 7 months, which is, of course, referring to the remainder of Cornyn's own term in office. Cornyn also made reference to the famous incident in the Oval Office where Trump berated Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, saying, as the president told President Zelensky when he was in his office a year or so ago, he said, "You don't have any cards. Well, we've got some cards to play." There we go. And when asked about Trump's post-election claim that Cornyn would remain his friend, Cornyn told The Times, "If that's the way friends treat you, you wonder about his enemies. Hell hath no wrath like a Republican scorned, I guess."
That's interesting, right? Anyway, those aren't the only ones who are regretting their decision. There's this whole subreddit dedicated to this, Magrets, Magrets. Terrible name, I know, but just check some of this out.
I don't think I could ever vote for another Republican again because all them boneheads follow that knucklehead faithfully, and they all know he's doing the wrong thing. Just look around. And I can't believe so many people got bamboozled. But I'm so glad to see so many people have switched sides over this thing. I can't wait for the midterms.
Yeah, midterms. Midterms
Yes.
are very important, sir. Everyone, needs to get out and vote for those midterms.
Genuinely, I don't think we're going to have a problem with it. I think that they are completely screwed, every last one of them. I wrote this political forecasting model that uses all the standard stuff. The consumer sentiment, the right direction question, is the country moving in the right direction? If a lot of people say yes and it's a Republican, Republicans win the midterms. If a lot of people say no and it's a Republican, Republicans lose the midterms, that kind of thing. So I used all the standard metrics that are used for political forecasting, and then I added some additional stuff on top. We've seen a minimum of 1.5 times as many Democratic voters voting in special elections. Really, we've seen 2 times as many, but there's a special election discount that you have to account for. Anyway, I think we're going to completely sweep the board. Like, completely. It's going to be ridiculous, the blowout we're going to see. And they're going to claim election fraud and all of that other stuff, of course. But it's going to fall on deaf ears because Republicans have controlled the government for the last 2 years fully. Supreme Court, House, Senate, executive branch, the presidency, everything has been controlled by Republicans. There are no excuses. If things suck right now, it's because of Republicans, fully and completely. No part of this, not one piece, is because of Democrats. Nope.
Watch this Trump supporter burn his MAGA hats.
Hold on.
After Donald Trump told his supporters to basically get over the Epstein files. Just take a look.
We're not going to play with these anymore. MAGA hats are off. America First hats are on.
These are probably Nick Fuentes fans, if I had to guess. He's the leader of the America First Super PAC, or PAC, I guess, the America First PAC. When people say things like this, it makes me think they're probably Fuentes fans. Damn it. Bro, do you know how to use a lighter? Really?
Burn, baby, burn. And this is a great representation of what's left of MAGA.
Or what's left of the country, yeah.
And the guy who posted that video on social media is a huge MAGA fan, super right-wing. It seems like so many of these Trump voters are just done with him now. This MAGA civil war is not going anywhere anytime soon. Donald Trump was really hoping that with this new statement, people would just fall into line and follow his lead. But many of these diehard Trump fans are saying, not so fast.
So anyway, MAGA is falling apart. I know it doesn't feel like it at this immediate moment, but I promise it is. Wait and see what happens. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right, let's see. The next one is... I'm just looking at my thing here. 1 second. MAGA regrets is done. Let's hit the opener, which is Doug Wilson. Is there a video on this? I don't think so. All right. This is Doug Wilson. If you're not familiar with him, he's a right-wing Christian nationalist extremist. He describes himself that way. And he's apparently taking over a town right now on behalf of Christian nationalism. Deeply disturbing stuff. Check this article out. It's by Hemant Mehta on the Friendly Atheist website. A billion-dollar company is remaking a Washington town in Christianity's image. Let me turn off Book Forge's stuff. All right. The small town of Battleground, Washington, just north of Portland, Oregon, is rapidly becoming a place run by Christians, for Christians, and the speed of its transformation is downright frightening. And if you're thinking that sounds a lot like Moscow, Idaho, which is where Doug Wilson's church was founded or whatever, where Christian nationalist theocrat Doug Wilson has built himself a mini empire centered around his Christ church, that's because he's directly linked to the people now doing the same thing in Battleground. Back in March, Camden Spiller, the owner of the electrical equipment company Maddox Industrial Transformer, explained in a local newspaper the three main reasons why he and his brother were investing so heavily in the town. The first is that this is our home, and we hope to help make Battleground an even better place to live, work, and raise a family. Secondly, investing in our hometown, blah, blah, blah. The third and most personal reason we choose to invest in Battleground is rooted in our faith. Whether or not you share our faith, I think it's just whether. Whether you share our faith, our community is strengthened when we each, in our own ways, seek the peace and prosperity of the place we share. What? For us, that place is Battleground. Okay. That was ominous. Maddox is expected to make about $1 billion in revenue by 2027. That sort of money in a town of about 20,000 people could give Spiller and his family unfathomable power to impose Christianity upon everyone there. Even if they can't legally force it, they can make clear that only Christians like them are welcome in the community. And that's what's been happening. In April, reporter Eric Newman of Oregon Public Broadcasting wrote a lengthy article connecting many of these dots. He noted that Maddox, the company, had invested in at least 30 properties in the community. While some see that as a step forward, it's revitalizing parts of the town. It's also a way to make sure the company has control over the town's success. That also means, however, that other company owners are now unable to truly push back if anything Maddox does is bad for the town. Quote, OPB contacted a dozen residents, public officials, and business owners in buildings owned by Spiller or near Spiller acquisitions. Several declined to discuss the recent purchases. 2 said they needed to remain neutral on the subject. 3 said they didn't want to speak publicly about the changes they were connected to. Publicly about the changes that were connected to Spiller and Maddox. So there are just random companies around in this town, is what I'm picking up here. And they're afraid to talk negatively about this dude and his company. Sorry, I lost something. What company is too afraid to talk about their competitor? What? I don't want any part of it, one business owner said when asked for an interview about Maddox's recent property acquisitions. They're a billion-dollar company. They push on me and I disappear. That doesn't sound like capitalism, by the way. That's disturbing as shit. There's very obviously a problem in this little town if something like this is happening, right? Just to give you an example of what that looks like in practice, the company opened up Al and Ernie's Bakery, a place that's founded on Christian values and which quietly pushes faith on you from the moment you place an order. Customers waiting for orders there receive buzzers that cite a Bible passage. Oh my God, dude, please. Do you have to? Is it really necessary? Taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. So they're outfitting and pushing restaurants in the area to do this kind of thing then, is what I'm picking up here. It's also closed on Sundays, naturally. So is the local tap house, the local brewery, I assume, the local bar or whatever. That may seem innocuous, but that's why they're doing it with a bakery. I'm sorry. That may seem innocuous, but that's what they're doing with a bakery. Now imagine what could happen if Spiller and his allies were to take over local government. Would the officials be able to say no to projects Spiller wanted to develop, even if they were bad for the community? Would they use their power to pass religious proclamations? Guess what? These concerns are already playing out. Yeah, before we move forward, check this out from Doug Wilson. He's connected to all of this, remember. I just want to give you an idea of what types of people these are.
The president could issue a proclamation that acknowledged that Jesus rose from the dead, and Congress could authorize the funds to have that proclamation printed and bound, read in all the schools, and posted in all the federal courthouses. That could be fun. The Supreme
Fun, quote unquote. Totally. Super fun.
Court could take up a new religious liberty case, ideally one with Jack Phillips in it, and in their decision they could reaffirm and reboot the decision of the Supreme Court in the 1892 Holy Trinity versus the United States case, in which the court determined that the United States was in fact a Christian nation.
That wasn't a decision. That was something that some random judge put in an opinion after a court decision that unfolded or whatever. It was not part of the decision, but whatever. It would have been unconstitutional for that to have been a decision. It's not a Christian nation. It wasn't decided to be a Christian nation. This is just complete nonsense, obviously. But the point is, this is the guy that's connected to all of this.
If we got a King Josiah.
Wait a minute.
I've noticed
Let me find. Here's another one from this guy.
So let us talk about women voting, shall we? Back in the bad old days, before the 19th Amendment, the men were considered to be the heads of their households and represented their families at the ballot box. So what happened when their wives were granted suffrage? Let us take a typical presidential election to illustrate it, using the first one in 1920 after women's suffrage was accomplished, the election between Warren Harding and James Cox. If both the husband and wife vote for Harding, say, then what you have done is simply multiply the number of total votes cast for him by 2. And if the husband votes for Harding, say, and the wife votes for Cox, then what you've done is cancel out the voice of that particular household. Upon discovering how they were each going to vote, what would be the harm if the two of them just stayed home for a quiet dinner together in order to cancel out one another's vote that way? Where was the great progress supposed to be located? The net effect of women's suffrage was not an advance in women's rights, but rather part of a push to replace covenanted entities, like families, with raw individualism. An overweening state greatly prefers governing an atomistic populace.
Right, atomistic. So you're saying individual liberty. He's saying individual liberty is bad and collectivism is good. That sounds like a left-wing argument to me. No, in all seriousness, this whole collectivism versus individualism thing, Republicans have had this reversed for a very long time. Fascism is collectivism taken to its extreme. Conform or else. If what you're doing isn't good for society, in my opinion, you don't have the right to do that thing. Individual liberties and rights do not exist in a fascist government, in a fascist structure. If I believe that gay marriage is bad, then I will not allow you to get gay married, even though that goes directly against individual liberty. These people are always complaining about the left being collectivist versus individualist. Listen to them. Listen to what he's saying. It's absurd.
An overweening state greatly prefers governing an atomistic populace, where each individual is like a BB thrown into an electoral sack. There's no structural rigidity to it, especially after laxity in the law concerning porn, pot, and poker has now greased all the BBs. Nothing coheres anymore. In the older system, the people were grouped in molecules, Burke's little platoons, some of them quite complex, and molecular societies are much more capable of resisting the demands of statism. So the suffrage movement was actually not taking up the cause of women, but rather was part of a long-sustained war on the family. The Nader...
Please, dude. Individual liberty, individual rights are a war on the family. What a ridiculous persecution complex. Come on. Anyway, that's who we're dealing with. That guy. Anyway, let's keep reading here. Wait, let's see. 25. Yeah. Keep reading. Where were we? Just to give you an example of what that looks like in practice, the company opened up Al and Ernie's Bakery. No, we already read that part, didn't we? Removed, describe Christian nationalist. Right. That may seem innocuous, but that's what they're doing with a bakery. Now imagine what would happen if Spiller and his allies were to take over local government. Would the officials be able to say no to projects Spiller wanted to develop, even if they were bad for the community? Would they use their power to pass religious proclamations? Guess what? These concerns are already playing out. Quote, Eric Overholster, what a name, a production operations manager at Maddox, was elected mayor after serving as a city councilor since 2023. Deputy Mayor Amy Vale is married to a Maddox employee. Another Maddox employee was recently elected to the local school board. One of the buildings that Spiller is creating will soon be home to a pastor named C.R. Wiley, a leader in the ultra-conservative Presbyterian Church in America, who has religious and professional ties to Doug Wilson. The church pastor for whom Spiller is building a new chapel has spoken about the importance of governing unbelievers. That pastor, C.R. Wiley, has ties to a prominent self-described Christian nationalist in Moscow, Idaho. That's the quote that ties him to Doug Wilson. In 2023, this is Hemant Mehta, OPB notes, Wiley co-hosted a podcast called The Battleground Project, in which he and his colleague talked about what they hoped the town would become, and they weren't subtle about their intentions. This is directly from the podcast. Quote, co-host and Maddox development manager Max Booth and Wiley described the show as an experiment in Christian localism. Shortly after OPB began investigating the story, the episodes were removed from the podcast feeds. End quote. This is Hemant Mehta again. The podcast wasn't the only place Wiley discussed the future of Battleground. That same year, he delivered a lecture called Building Culture in Hostile Territory at a religious conference. He said the church, arguably with the help of Spiller, was creating all the spaces you'd want to go and hang out with friends outside of your home and work. So a local bakery would double as a Bible study location after hours. Same with a local cigar shop. Honestly, would cigar shops even be legal in this little town? This is horrifying, dude. We want owned space, Wiley said. We want to be the people who have very strong say, significant say, in how things are done and how the business is conducted. What we, as Presbyterians and people who belong to the Reformed tradition, bring to the larger church are the resources of a public theology that helps us to govern unbelievers. This is a template. Okay, this is how this stuff starts. This is how it plays out. That's disturbing as hell. Somebody needs to run for mayor, run for school board there. Somebody, anybody. And challenge these people. There used to be a bar in the area, Main Street Bar, but when the owner wanted to sell, Maddox took it over and made sure it wasn't a bar anymore. Quote, A Main Street bar Facebook post stated that the building, originally a movie theater before it became a bar of many names, has a bright future but no longer a bar. It likely won't be a bar again, but it will be something public-facing, serving the community. They're not hiding their intentions, even if they're trying to hide the podcast, says Hemant Mehta. This is now spilling over into the city council, where recent draft proclamations have condemned Antifa-associated violence and supported ICE. They've also promoted invocation prayers, which would inevitably be Christian-dominated, while the council has rejected proclamations honoring Pride Month and the Transgender Day of Visibility. They're being shady about it, too. This is a quote. The mayor approved another proclamation marking May 7th as a national day of prayer, and the council is considering adding religious invocation to the start of its bi-monthly meetings. One dissenting councilor warned that the 7-member body could be wading into murky legal territory, as it considers instituting a prayer invocation as at the start of city meetings. Just for the record, 4 of you do not want to let the public know our legal implications of adding prayer to this meeting, said Councillor Troy McCoy. Wow, his name rhymes. That's metal as fuck. After members voted not to publicly share past legal advice from city attorneys after the issue came up last year. Oh my God, dude. That is insane. This is Hemant Mehta speaking again. For what it's worth, a local resident told me she submitted a Day of Reason proclamation for the city council to pass, and they approved it. Okay. They'll make the announcement in mid-July, but that doesn't negate all the pro-Christian things this same council is pushing. Again, like, obviously I have nothing... Obviously I have no problem with Christianity. Obviously. But when they're trying to push it on everybody else, that becomes a problem for me. When they're imposing their will on those around them. When they're erasing individual liberties, as Doug Wilson outlined, then it's a problem for me. Let's see. One concern is that residents will be oblivious to what's happening until it's too late. While the people who are tapped into local politics and able to make decisions are already part of the Christian base. That's why local activists have been raising to sound the alarm so that more people speak out against this Christian takeover fueled by religious extremism and a bottomless pit of money. In case it's not clear why this is also concerning, just remember that Doug Wilson stands for, and then realize his people are the ones taking over this town. I'm sorry. Let me read that again. In case it's not clear why this is also concerning, just remember what Doug Wilson stands for, and then realize his people are the ones taking over this town. Wilson has openly admitted his theocratic fantasies about Moscow, Idaho. I'd like to see the town be a Christian town. I'd like to see the state be a Christian state. I'd like to see the nation be a Christian nation. I'd like to see the world be a Christian world. Well, great. If people end up there of their own free will, fantastic. I could not possibly care less. It is impossible for me to care less if that's what ends up happening. The issue is that you're forcing it on people around you. Wilson has openly admitted, no, I read that. He described women as nothing more than the kind of people that people come out of. Oh, is that the guy that said that? Holy Christ on a cracker, bro. Oh, yeah, and you know what else? Doug Wilson doesn't like interracial marriage. He doesn't like interracial marriage. You know what? Let me see if I can find this guy. The clip. The women, people. Prompt Browser. Yeah, let me, wait. No. Wait, is this the video? Wait a minute. I think this is the video. No. No, that's not right.
Women are the kind of people that people come.
Right. This is, yes. Hold on.
Women are the kind of people.
This is the video from Wilson.
Women are the kind of people that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies?
Dude, did you see her face? One more time. Look at her face when he says this.
People that people come out of.
So you just think they're meant to have babies? That's it. They're just a vessel.
No, it doesn't take any talent to simply reproduce biologically.
It doesn't? Oh, I just watched this take place firsthand, okay? Yes, it does. As a matter of fact, it does take talent. Trust me. That tells me he's never seen this unfold in his life. He has no clue what's involved. But okay, that's not the point.
The wife and mother, who is the chief...
Love her face, dude. Look at her face. That's top tier shit.
Chief executive of the home is entrusted with 3 or 4 or 5 eternal souls.
I'm here as a working journalist, and I'm a mom of 3.
Good for you.
Is that an issue?
No. And no, it's not automatically an issue.
Christchurch senior pastor.
Yeah, he says the same thing about interracial marriage. Not automatically an issue, but yes, it is an issue for him. Yes, interracial marriage is an issue for him. Yes, women working outside the home is an issue for him.
Doug Wilson is the leader of a Christian nationalist movement that believes...
Jesus Christ, dude. Anyway, that was wild. I completely forgot about that. Oh my God. Yeah, the point is, these people are a scourge on society, and we need to push back against them hard. Tell me what you think in the comments. You know what? Just an editing note, I may put that Doug Wilson clip at the start of this video. I don't know. If it fits, maybe. 25 to 47. All right. Let's see. What's the next set of videos I have? I got MAGA regrets. Let's hit singing on an airplane. I'm sorry. Yeah, let's hit singing on an airplane. Nope. Yeah. There it is. Okay. Let me write my timestamps down. 48. All right. Bro, check this out. Like, you know what? I'm just going to lead with that. Bro, check this out.
Hey guys, since the plane is, not moving and, we might as well just have some good, deep conversations. I just want to let you guys know that Jesus loves you guys and that God sent his only son, Jesus, to die on the cross for y'all. And I just want to share because we're...
Can they not cram this stuff down people's throats 24/7? Is it physically possible for them to not do that?
Might as well. We're not moving. We're not doing anything, So I just...
It looks like they're doing stuff. They got things going on. They're probably texting their family and telling them or whatever. They're not doing nothing. I can't speak for you.
We're not doing anything, So I just want to share that God loves you guys and we might as well have a good time on the plane and get to know each other, So... love you guys. Just want to let you know that. Amen.
They're so cringy, dude. Why are they like this? I don't understand. Why do they do this? This is by no stretch of the imagination the only time this happened. Here's another clip from, when was this? This is from 2022 when some Christians who were on their way to Ukraine decided to bust out the guitar and start singing Jesus songs, like wrecking people, interrupting people's lives and everything. And they're just trying to get through the flight, maybe even sleep through the flight. And they can't even do that. Like, look at the people. Look at this. This dude and this woman want no part of this. They just want to, like, be left alone and get to the ground without some nutcases doing something psychotic. That's too much to ask, apparently. Anyway, when that same Christian group reached the ground, they were on their way to Ukraine. Watch this video from it. So literally, homeless people, okay? Their homes had been destroyed by Russians. They had been blown up. Their towns were shelled with artillery. And they have no food. They have no water. Some of them have babies with them. What are you supposed to do with a baby with literally nothing? And these poor dumb fools are sitting here playing the guitar, wearing vests. Why don't you do something useful? Why don't you go pass out formula? Try that. Instead of smiling like an idiot. Hey, by the way, where's Jesus in this whole equation here, in this situation right here? Where is he? Did he use the bathroom? Is that where he is? These people have literally lost everything. When your house is destroyed by a tank, what do you do with your cat? Your pet cat. 18 years old, diabetic, needs treatment, needs a veterinarian. What do you do with him? Can't put him in a cat carrier and bring him with you. The insulin has to be refrigerated. Well, your refrigerator is 10 feet under rubble now. What do you do? Where is Jesus in this scenario? Personally, if it had been me, I would have grabbed the guitar and slammed it on the ground multiple times. That would have infuriated me to a degree I cannot articulate. What is it with these nutcases going to public places and making an ass of themselves? I don't understand. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That was really, really short. Maybe I should try to make that longer. Let me see if I can find another clip here before I... What's this?
Listen to what this
no. Give me a second here.
Hey, guys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God. I forgot about this. This is more to that story. I completely forgot.
Hey, guys. Jack and Lily here. We're right now in Ukraine at the border. We're here with Awakening Europe and also CFAN. And it's just amazing what God is doing already. As you guys can see behind us, we have a tent set up with different resources that are meeting the immediate needs of the people that are in line and that have been waiting for 12 plus hours. But we're also here to preach the gospel.
Wait, you're not handing out food? Really? I would recommend handing out food. These people need something real and tangible. They don't need that shit right now. That is literally the last thing that they need right now.
For Jesus is the hope of humanity. And so we're going car to car, person to person, and teaching and talking about Jesus. And we're seeing salvations, healings, miracles, and it's wonderful what God is doing. So I want to thank all of you for supporting, praying for this ministry. God is moving mightily. Thank you and God bless you.
Yeah, real helpful. Thank you so much. These people are worthless. And unfortunately, it's because of people like this right here. Robert Jeffress, televangelist, megachurch pastor, spreads things like this. And we end up with people singing on an airplane instead of doing something actually tangible, something real.
If you want to have a theological debate about civil disobedience and whether we ought to obey you or God, you can carry on that little discussion by yourself. But know this. We will not stop speaking about what we had seen and heard. They could have said, well, we don't want to offend people of another faith, so we won't use the name Jesus. That's too offensive.
Bro, what human being has ever said that?
We'll just talk about God. Can I tell you something? You can talk to most people about God. You can broadcast about God and tell sweet little stories about God all you want to, and you won't get any complaint. Because most people think God is the accumulation of all their thoughts and imaginations about him. They talk about the God of your understanding. In other words, God is whoever you want him to be.
What?
Nobody really gets offended by God, but you talk about the name of Jesus. That's when the fireworks begin.
Yeah, people super offended by that. Totally. Hate it. Can't stand it. People they shrink at the name of Jesus, right? Anyway, these people are just awful. Honestly. Do something valuable with your life. This is why I believe churches should not be tax exempt by default. Do you know that churches are tax exempt by default right out the gate? They don't even have to report anything to the IRS. Normally, for nonprofit organizations like, the ACA, American Atheists, or whoever, they have to file a form telling the government what they did with their money and make it public and everything. Churches don't have to do that. You know why? Because they're automatically considered to be a public good. Is Scientology good for the public? Because they fall into that category of church. If I were president, this is one of those things I would reverse instantly. Churches, if they're really contributing to society, they can have tax exempt status. Actually, you know what? No, they can't. No churches can have tax exempt status. If a church wants to start a nonprofit that is actually helping society, that organization can be tax exempt. If they want to start a homeless shelter and run it, or a hospital, I'm all in. You can have tax exempt status for that. But the church paying the pastor, what public good is being delivered by giving them, the pastor, tax-exempt status? Nothing. They're abusing the system. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. It drives me nuts, dude. Really. That was still pretty short, but that's okay. Doug Wilson is done. I had some stuff on... Let's pull up Shane Vaughn. Shane Vaughn.
We want to be part 7. Because some of you have been listening to this program for many years. He had to go to war with Iran to show you he will fight bullies, but he timed it perfect. What wonderful days. There was a man in the Bible by the name of King. Those 6 men, if all the reporters are at the trough feed.
Hold on, I'm just looking for videos here.
There's one leader. There's one creator in the MAGA movement.
All right, sweet. This is Shane Vaughn. He's a Trump pastor. He's a Trump theologist. Believes that Trump is the second coming of Jesus, effectively. It's weird. Listen to this. This is on the Iran war, I believe.
Please, if you're falling asleep, wake back up and listen. There's only an agenda. Donald Trump's agenda versus Democrats. Lay down your convictions. We don't need them right now. Lay down your principles. They won't work. We're in a 2-party system. Sadly, I wish you could vote your conscience, but my conscience won't let me.
Well, his conscience, I'm sorry, let me fix my color here on my, that's not, it's too yellow. Can I make it less yellow, or am I stuck at this level of yellow? All right, that'll do. Turn it down a bit. It's way too bright. That'll do. Still too yellow. I'm sorry. Let me fix it. All right, that'll work. Well, his conscience tells him to vote for Donald Trump. He loves Donald Trump to his dying breath. He believes that Trump is the Messiah, the second coming of Jesus, fascinatingly. Okay, I'm not going to get into this whole thing, but basically, he believes that Jesus was the Son of God and Trump is the Son of Man. The Son of Man is an old prophetic term for the Savior in the Old Testament before Jesus came along. The Savior who's going to come along and spark Armageddon and bring about God's kingdom on earth and the whole 9 yards. That's the Son of Man. And everybody believed that Jesus was the Son of Man. But then he died. And it didn't make any sense because he didn't spark Armageddon or any of that. So they're like, he'll be back. He'll be back. Just wait and see. And the people who die before he comes back, they will be given the special privilege of rising up out of their graves when he returns and meeting him halfway and escorting him back to earth. That's the source of the rapture. So anyway, Jesus has not fulfilled the role of Son of Man yet, according to the Bible. And Shane Vaughn looked at that situation and said, perfect, I can fill that role of Son of Man with Donald Trump. So when I say he believes that Trump is the second coming of Jesus, I literally mean that. He believes he's the second coming of Jesus, actually. Anyway, check this clip out. This is Shane Vaughn, I believe, on the Iran war.
He had to go to...
No, was this on the Iran war? No, this one wasn't, was it? No. Let me just... This is what he said and did immediately after he heard the Iran war started, because he believed that it was like the moment that Armageddon was starting in the Middle East. He thought that Trump brought about Armageddon in the Middle East by starting the Iran war, and the end was here.
What wonderful days these days are before the coming of the Lord.
You know, he doesn't have a bad voice, actually. It's not terrible, right? Surprisingly. I mean, it's a terrible song, and he's an obnoxious fool, but it sounded like he was on key for the most part, right?
What wonderful days these days are.
Never mind.
Before the coming of the Lord. What wonderful days these days
Okay, I spoke way too soon on that one. I'm sorry, guys. I dropped the ball.
are before the coming of the Lord. Oh, the glory before the coming of the Lord. Hallelujah.
So, anyway, he was celebrating because he believed that the end was here. Hang on, this is too bright. Fix this. All right, that'll do. I'm still getting shadows, but that's okay. Check this one out.
You know, there was a man in the Bible by the name of King Saul. And God saw that there was a group of people called the Amalekites.
The Amalekites, yes, go on.
Hated Israel. The Amalekites had one desire: to destroy Israel from under the sun. And God raised up King Saul and told Saul, I want you to preemptively strike the Amalekites. I want you to go in and kill every man, woman, boy, and girl.
So he's describing the moment in the Bible where God ordered genocide of the Amalekites. Yep, go on.
And I don't want you to explain it to Congress. I don't want you to explain it to anybody. I want you to do what needs to be done to preserve my people a little longer on the face of the earth. Now, if King Saul was to do that today, the entire world would turn against him. But
yeah, you think? Absolutely, and they should. You're literally describing genocide right now. 100%.
You see, when God is in something and a man doesn't care what the world thinks, he is obeying the dictates of God himself. When God raised up Donald Trump, Iran is to America what Amalek was to Israel.
So he's saying it's morally justified to commit genocide against the Iranians. That is what this dude just said. Evil does not even begin to describe this guy's beliefs.
Same thing.
All right, check this one out. This is, which one was this? Wait, Warren's MAGA followers. Yeah. He's been trying to get MAGA to follow Donald Trump at any cost. Any cost, no matter what. Because he really thinks he's the Son of Man.
There's one leader. There's one creator in the MAGA movement. You cannot tell the man that created.
I'm sorry, to call Donald Trump a creator is wild in this context.
Make America great again, what that means. He created it. Who do you think you are? I'm asking that sincerely. There is a plague in our minds. There's a rebellion in our hearts towards leadership. God raised up a leader. It's not Marjorie Greene. It's not Candace Owens. It's not Tucker Carlson. It's Donald Trump. And do you know, just a few months ago, every one of you believed that? Do you know you stood in lines at rallies for hours and days? Do you know you would have laid down and took a bullet for Donald Trump? What changed? Nothing.
Well, I mean, he threatened to commit genocide on an entire civilization of people in Iran. There's that. He's completely destroyed the economy. Everything is wrecked. Grocery prices, gas prices, rent prices, prices of homes, everything is destroyed. So there's that. I mean, is that not enough for somebody to look for some other leader?
This president has earned your trust.
He has?
But I'll be honest with you. God help the world we live in today. There's no loyalty. We're behind you today and we kill you tomorrow. Marjorie Taylor Greene is a plague.
You mean Marjorie Trader Brown, right?
And it's a plague that will spread. I didn't say she's a horrible woman. I didn't say she's evil. I said she's a plague. What do I mean by that? The moment you forget who God raised up as the leader, an infection gets in your mind and you can't get rid of it. It's called rebellion.
Well, rebellion against who? Donald Trump. He's framing it like it's rebellion against God, right?
Trump is God's leader of this movement.
Jesus Christ, dude. Anyway, Shane Vaughn has serious, deep problems. Yeah, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Absolutely wild. All right, let me write down the timestamp on that one. Shane Vaughn. 55 to 110. That's not terrible timing. Let's see. What was the next one I wanted to hit? Singing on an Airplane is done. Shane Vaughn is done. I wanted to hit, see, we hit Doug Wilson as well. Sam Harris. Let's hit Bobby Charles. Yeah. Open this one too. Oop. All right, awesome. Now, where is it? Bobby Charles. Bobby Charles. Here it is. Okay, there's this guy named Bobby Charles who's saying some absolutely psychotic stuff. Check this out.
I want to leave my door wide open as governor to any young...
I'm sorry, let me turn this up. He's running for, I think, governor in Maine as a Republican.
Young woman. I want to leave my door wide open as governor to any young woman who is pregnant and is considering, under pressure from others or anyone else, is considering an abortion. You spend half...
Let me play the other. I'll play a different clip first, because this one, yeah. Try again.
Our school system has been hijacked by leftists who think, and that's why we're number 50 in the country.
Leftists who think, oh no, my worst enemy, right? Leftists who think.
By leftists who think that teaching activism, crazy words like gender affirmation and transition. Oh, look.
Transition is a crazy word? Gender affirmation? Like, what is he even talking about here?
Go back to the medical literature. I'm not being, you know, they say you're an ideologue or you're racist or you're this or you're that. No, I'm being very factual. We know the Bible has a very clear understanding. Noah didn't take 27 genders of animals. He just took 2 as far as...
Yeah, animals don't have gender. Animals have sex. That's it. There is no gender with animals.
I remember, but that's true. But then there's the biology, right? Now we're denying genetics and biology. You've got kids now that apparently think that they're cats and dogs, and we are accommodating that. That's
literally not one single human being. All right, this is him repeating that same ridiculous garbage about the litter box in classrooms. You guys remember that stupid nonsense that Joe Rogan spread forever ago? This dude is spreading that all over again. Are you kidding me right now? Not one teacher was asked, not one school, not one principal was ever asked to put a litter box in a classroom for a kid. Please.
Garbage. What do you do, by the way, when you get to be 20 and you break it to them, actually you're not a cat and you will have to go to work. And we're going to not do this kitty litter crap anymore, right?
Okay, that's not happening. But you know what? If they get to 20 and they're doing some ridiculous stuff, well, guess what? They're going to learn. They're going to learn. Simple as that. Do you think that maybe the bigger issue to focus on is addictive shorts material, like addictive shorts style videos being pushed on young children? You don't think that's the bigger issue to focus on? The bigger issue, bigger than like litter boxes in classrooms? Well, that was the end. Anyway, this guy's completely out of his gourd. Like, oh my God, dude, it's nuts. Listen to this one.
Half an hour with me.
Hang on.
I want to leave my door wide open as governor to any young woman who is pregnant and is considering, under pressure from others or anyone else, is considering an abortion. You spend half an hour with me, you will understand the incredible gift, the miracle that God has given to you.
Okay, you mean you're going to brainwash people and fearmonger and shame them for half an hour. That's really the plan, right? Look, having a kid is special and it's hard. You cannot ask somebody to do that if they are not ready to. If that moment is not special, if it's damning, if it's difficult, if it's scary, pushing that on somebody is pure, unadulterated evil. Like this dude. That just what he's doing is evil.
That you will understand for the first time how special you are and how important it is that you embrace this. You know, so many people, they have an abortion, they're never able to have a child again.
Complete garbage. Give it a fucking rest. This is just disgusting lies. Like, people have miscarriages all the time and they don't even know it. This is a regular part of being a human, having miscarriages. Intentional, unintentional, or whatever. That's all an abortion is, ultimately. It's an intentional miscarriage.
And that one piece of their life is missing forever, okay? Never mind they wrestle with the guilt of having taken a life, and they struggle with this. I mean, you know, as some will say, they just simply define life away and so pretend that they're not guilty of it. But the reality is it leaves a scar on the soul, okay?
Nope, it doesn't, actually. A lot of people are not ready for children, and they know that about themselves, and you are actively making people's lives worse and more dangerous by trying to shove this down people's throats. Truly evil. Like, truly an evil thing to do. To try to push somebody to have a kid that they are not ready for. He's not even the worst perpetrator, believe it or not. We'll get there. Keep listening.
And so, that having been said, one thing I will do is leave my door wide open. You either truly believe that this is a child. I say to people, just so you know.
Wait, what's a child? We're talking about the grouping of cells that is literally too small to see with the naked eye. Is that the child? Is that what you're referring to? We're talking about the cells that have just formed, that have only been there for like a few weeks and are literally impossible to see?
It's not going to be a giraffe. It's not going to be a zebra that you bear. It's going to be a little boy or a little girl.
Gonna be? Gonna? As in, isn't yet? Is that what you're saying?
And it will be a boy or a girl, okay?
God, he's such an idiot, dude. Anyway, this has been, like, gaining steam. Hang on, let me find. Let me find the video I was looking for. Is this it? Yes, this is it. Dusty Devers is another Christian nationalist extremist nutcase who has been pushing this complete garbage for a long time. Unfortunately, I think Dusty Devers is one of those people who, like, genuinely believes the lies that he's telling. But just, like, listen to what he says here.
Today,
Sorry, it's really loud. Let me turn that down.
Today, I want to ask and answer the question, what must you and I do to love our IVF embryonic neighbors as ourselves?
Our IVF embryonic neighbors as ourselves, okay? IVF is a process that people use to have children when they otherwise couldn't. It's a fertility treatment. It is not an abortion in any way. But this dude is twisting IVF around to frame it like it is an abortion so that he can demonize it for some ass-backward reason.
My aim today is, with our Creator's help, graciously to bring before your conscience the harsh realities of IVF so you will respond by faith, in faith, by loving your embryonic neighbor. Why should this matter to you? Well, we've heard why it should matter.
Well, it shouldn't matter to you, actually, because Numbers 5:11-23 explicitly instructs people to get an abortion by going to the priest and whipping up a concoction called bitter water and drinking it to abort a baby. If, for example, their wife cheated on them, they can go through this procedure to abort a baby. I don't know what they're talking about here. Like, this is a completely... This idea that God is opposed to abortion, completely contrary to the Bible in every way. This does not reflect reality. Where did they even get this? It's nonsense.
Millions of our embryonic neighbors unnecessarily are being led to slaughter every year by IVF and assisted reproductive technologies, and countless others are cryo-incarcerated in frozen prisons.
Cryo-incarcerated in frozen prisons. If you don't know how all of this works, IVF is a process where they take eggs from the mother and they merge them with cells from the father, and they put them in a petri dish, let them grow for I think 3 days until they're like embryos. They leave the zygote phase, they become embryos, and then they put them in a freezer for, you know, as long as the mother needs them, like 10 years or so, just kind of depends. And they will implant these embryos in the mother until she's done having kids, and then they will throw out the literal, like, 15 cells that exist. That's how all of this works. And he's complaining about people, like, throwing out cells, like embryos made up of like 15 cells. That is what he's complaining about. Insane. And he's ruining people's lives in the process.
We are creating cryo-orphans for the sake of biological offspring. Saints, our longing to bear children with our own DNA must not lead us to treat our embryos in a way that God forbids. Is your longing to bear children in your own image leading you to flirt with means of procreation that fail to uphold the sacredness of human life? That would lead...
Wait, failing to uphold the sacredness of human life. In what way does that not uphold the sacredness of human life? For people to just have children, to enable them to have kids where they couldn't otherwise. I don't understand. This dude is genuinely, seriously evil.
These embryos or your children to death or a freezer, or deliver them up to destructive experimentation in the name of science.
In the name of science. No, it's in the name of having children where you couldn't otherwise.
Contentment is driving you to accept the destruction or freezing of your own embryonic children. You are waging an assault against God, your Creator. And you're doing it through His image bearers. Is He not better than 10,000 children who look like you and carry your DNA?
God?
He is.
Jesus Christ, dude. This guy is absolutely unglued from reality. Genuinely. Seriously horrifying. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. Republicans have gone completely off the rails. Completely. We are in seriously disturbing territory now. All right, that works. How long was that one? That was Bobby Charles. 110 to 124. 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Let's see. I had some other stuff queued up here. What was it? Bobby Charles is done. Sticks and Hexenhammers. Yeah, let me check Sticks and Hexenhammers here. This dude, Sticks and Hexenhammers, he used to be an anti-SJW, and he used to be pretty big on YouTube back in the day when I was just getting my start. Now he's on Rumble. Iran downs U.S. copter. Humanoid robots. Inflation spiked sharply, and that isn't good. Will the GOP mess up and block JD Vance in 2028? Microbes in space. Foreign leftists livid. Okay. Okay, we need to watch this. We're going to watch this one. All right, let me grab this. I'm going to grab this video real fast. Just take a second. Hang on. Oh, by the way, sorry. We're supposed to show people that we're Christian by our love, and Wilson shows that there's no hate like Christian love. Yeah, dude's out of his gourd. He will do whatever it takes to control the United States in horrifying ways. It's insane. Oh, you do a Belushi on them from Animal House. Lol. Glad to keep supporting you. Right? 46 months. That is nuts, right? It's fantastic. Thank you so much for the support over all these years. It's crazy. All right. Video is almost done downloading. Give it another second. Okay, it's done. What's this? Political rhetoric? All right. This is Styxhexenhammer666. That's his name on YouTube. He was pretty big back in the day. Like, when I was starting out, back in 2016 or whenever it was, he was huge. He was very, very, very famous as an anti-SJW type of person. And so anyway, I want to give this a listen, see what he has to say. The title of the video is USA at 250 years has foreign leftists livid. Foreign leftists are livid that the United States has made it 250 years. So angry. All right, check this out.
All right, everyone, it's time to talk about the USA's 250th anniversary.
Bro, this is a normal volume, but his voice is so piercing.
It is coming up shortly. Yes, indeed. 250 years of nonstop craziness. That's basically what the United States was founded to be. We were not founded by normal people. We were founded by a bunch of eccentrics and rebels and things like that.
Okay.
And then in the War of 1812, maintained by a bunch of escaped slaves and pirates, random farmer militia, and a handful of regulars. That was what Andrew Jackson was working with at the time. Yeah. Johnny the Foot, he decided to bring about 1,000 pirates into battle.
I feel like I have to turn this down, but it's already so quiet. His voice is just awful.
Yeah, he's like, hey, give us clemency, and, you know, all's under the bridge. We'll fight for you. But we're gonna have to have those theft charges removed. Finally, Jackson relented. Anyway, talking about this, it's really funny. Because if you look at the European press, a lot of it is overwhelmingly negative towards the 250th anniversary. The Guardian article, for example, is a great opinion piece talking about how the United States is spawning a mythology about its existence and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, the right is spawning a mythology about America's existence, right? Is it not?
Everyone has a mythology. Your nation has more myths than most, just saying. When the colonists decided to rise up against their own government and say, fuck you, that's not a mythology. The United States was saved, oddly enough, by some sort of odd weather event in the War of 1812, for example. This is not myth. This is real. The British lines were scattered.
I don't think that's what they're claiming is the mythology. Nobody is saying that there wasn't a battle between Britain and the United States, right? Obviously there was.
At the time, and the fires that were set in D.C. actually were mainly doused by the same odd weather event. We're not exactly sure. It may have been a hurricane. We're not even 100% sure. These things are not mythology.
No, those things aren't mythology. You're right. That's not what anybody is saying was mythology.
The United States has invented and innovated a great number of things that are used day to day by people around the world. And
yep, that's what makes us an empire.
I don't think that it is wrong for the people of the United States to consider their nation exceptional.
Okay, interesting. Are we... In what way are we exceptional? I don't have a problem accepting the fact that a lot of incredible inventions have come out of the United States. Absolutely. And before the United States, it was Britain. And before Britain, it was Germany. And before Germany, I mean, this is like human innovation comes out of different areas of the world at different times. We just happen to have a lot of very smart people, a lot of them immigrants. In fact, I'd argue everybody here is an immigrant, right? A lot of them immigrants. And that's the bottom line. Like, that's what makes it exceptional, is just the people that are inventing things, many of whom aren't from the United States originally at all.
In fact, I think it should be encouraged. Yes, indeed, we are an exceptional nation.
Well, what makes us exceptional? I mean, think about this. Is it just the land? Is it being a U.S. citizen? Is that what makes us exceptional? Are we special simply because we were born here? Is it the United States that's exceptional, or U.S. citizens, the people that live here? Is that who's exceptional? I don't have a problem acknowledging that a lot of incredible inventions came out of the United States. Absolutely, and still are. But when you start claiming that we as a country are exceptional in a unique way, you're starting to walk down nationalist territory, which is the exact trap that Germany got themselves into, and why they were a pariah in the world for so long.
Every nation has the right to consider itself exceptional. The United States has more right than most. That being said, the one aside that I would make is that if you want to be exceptional, you have to keep striving to be exceptional.
I'm sorry, wait, one more time. What did he say?
To consider. Yes, indeed, we are an exceptional nation. Every nation has the right to consider itself exceptional. The United States has more right than most.
Oh, I see. They have more right than... I thought he was saying more people on the right are exceptional than on the left. Problem with exceptionalism, American exceptionalism, is that, for one thing, it can slide into a permission structure. We're exceptional becomes the rules don't apply to us, and we start doing things like becoming the world police, you know, justifying things like invading other countries, that type of thing. It blocks self-correction because we believe we're the best and that we have nothing to be sorry for. Even when we do absolutely evil, horrible things around the world, we're overall exceptional. So it's excusable. It's worth it. The bad things we do are worth it because we're so exceptional, right? Viewing the United States that way and yourself that way is a problem. It can also paper over divisions and issues, like which groups in the United States are exceptional, because I would be willing to bet this dude doesn't believe that every single group in the U.S. is exceptional. How does he feel about immigrants? How does he feel about the black community? And, you know, just to kind of steelman his position, I think some degree of pride in your home, in who you are, and national unity is important. You know, patriotism, not nationalism, but patriotism. They are different. In Afghanistan, during the Afghanistan war, there was no sense of national unity or pride. There was no sense of even communal pride or patriotism. They were all just there trying to survive from one day to the next. And as we found out the hard way, the United States that is, when there is no sense of national pride or no desire to make the country better, it ends up eating itself from within. There is no cohesion. There's no glue to hold it all together. You know, we all saw what happened to the Afghan military when the Taliban swept in. They put down their guns and walked away. They went home because they wanted no part of it. They had no interest in fighting to keep what they had, because there was no patriotism. There's no sense of pride, no national, you know, unity to speak of. So some degree of that is good and necessary for a civilization to survive. But it turns toxic real fast. You know, nationalism wasn't always a bad thing. Nationalism in Germany, at the very least, in the mid-1800s was a good thing. Because these people in Germany in the 1830s to 60s, before the revolution in 1848. By the way, I wrote a book about this. It's called God's People. It's 11 biographical essays on figures in World War II who are not covered enough about about the religious takeover, about Hitler's attempt to take the churches. It's on Amazon and Audible if you want to give it a look. owenmorgan.com/God's People. Anyway, the Germanic states didn't actually form into a single cohesive unit until 1872. And in 1848, there was a massive revolution, like a left-wing revolution or whatever, to try to take over in the name of the Germanic peoples. Like, they had been controlled and manipulated and pushed around by every empire that passed through Europe for 1,000 years or more. And they had this sense of national unity, that they deserved some degree of control over or autonomy over their own well-being and their own lives and over Germany itself. So that's a case where nationalism was good. What it has morphed into since then, in the past 200 years, is bad. Very bad. Because all different groups now believe that they are entitled to control the entire region, whatever region that happens to be, Germany, the United States, whatever. That's what nationalism is now. It's a good example of how exceptionalism can go from good to bad. And I think patriotism is much preferable to exceptionalism or nationalism, by far. Oops, sorry.
That being said,
like, this guy doesn't know any of that history, by the way, obviously. He has no clue what he's talking about. He doesn't know anything about this. He's just yapping at nothing.
One aside that I would make is that if you want to be exceptional, you have to keep striving to be exceptional. The United States cannot rest on its laurels and say, well, we invented X, Y, and Z, and so, you know, we're great. Ha, 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 ha. You're all losers. No, 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 no. What you need to do is say, okay, we invented X, Y, and Z. Can we invent A, B, and C as well? Can we do more? can we make things even better?
Yeah, that's why exceptionalism is not really that helpful or useful. That's why we should avoid it.
Can we make something more efficient? Can we invent something new that hasn't been invented before? Can we turn sci-fi into reality, so to speak? Things like that. Is there a way that we can improve ourselves?
Dude, how did anybody listen to this guy like 10 years ago?
Self-improvement is, though, the way that it starts. And this is something that I've talked about repeatedly on my channel. It starts with you and me. We have to be able to improve our own lives, our own lot, make more skills, hone them.
What the fuck is this guy talking about? I'm sorry, I am so lost right now.
Get better at them and so forth. That's where you get all of your creativity. That's where you get all of your innovation. You can't rely on the system. A lot of people do this.
They do?
They rely upon government. This is a socialist mentality, by the way.
What?
They rely upon the government or some other institution to better their lives. That's the wrong way to go about things.
No, that's not what people do. People rely on the government, rightly, to survive, okay? They're not getting food stamps to, quote-unquote, better their lives. They're getting them to live the next day. They're not getting Section 8 housing, HUD, to better their lives. They're trying to survive. What an absolutely psychotic thing to say. Genuinely.
It's never gonna...
And I'm sorry, and what does that have to do with socialism exactly?
better your life, and it's certainly not going to better anyone else's life.
It's not going to better anyone else's life to have food stamps. I'm sorry.
That should be seen as nothing more than a stopgap. A limited effort just to keep you alive long enough for you to be able to hone the skill.
And you think it's not? You think that people are living it up? Living high on the hog with food stamps? Are you kidding me?
To be able to turn the hobby into a career and things like that. If you look at that as a lifestyle, you know, basically I'm on benefits. I can't do anything more. Well, then you're not going to be creating anything. You're not going to be doing anything. It's not going to happen.
Bro, you literally can't create and or do anything in certain economies. I'm not saying that's this economy right now. I believe it is. But either way, just look at this. Look at the big picture right now, okay? There are some things that you simply cannot do. Like, the jobs do not exist. What an absolutely wild thing to say.
You can better your own life. Hell, you could become a billionaire. You don't know. Because
you cannot become a billionaire. Okay, billionaire is not something that people can just become like that. You don't just become a billionaire by working really hard. That's not how it works. It's not how it has ever worked.
You haven't tried. I think that people should take more initiative themselves. And oftentimes, the rebuttal that they'll give me is, well, I can't. It's impossible.
It is literally impossible to become a billionaire through skill. A massive amount of luck goes into this. In fact, I would argue it's pretty much entirely luck. I suppose one could argue that, like, if, you know, the opportunities present themselves and you have to be in the right place at the right time to take those opportunities. And if you take those opportunities when they're presented, okay. But those opportunities to be a billionaire, they never presented themselves to me. I never had that chance. That's just not how things work.
And without government benefits, I wouldn't even have food. You probably would.
You absolutely would not. Some people would not have food without government benefits. And by the way, those quote-unquote government benefits, we pay for those. That's our money. It's not government money. That is our money. If you're down on your luck, you will pay into it too one day. I'm sorry. If you're down on your luck, you will draw from it too one day.
Because you can do that alongside of honing your own talents, and you have them. They are already there.
This guy's such an idiot, dude. Genuinely. This is so stupid. It's painfully stupid. Really, like, what's going through his head? Is there anything knocking around between those ears? Can you believe he was actually considered a legitimate thinker at one point 10 years ago? All right, just think about it this way on a stochastic level. Statistically, there will always be, in any society, say 2%, who simply will not be able to rise themselves out of poverty. It may not even be the same 2%. Maybe, you know, it'll be a rolling 2% over the course of 50 years. And that 2%, there's nothing you can do to eliminate that because that's how statistics work. There will always be at least 2% unemployment or whatever. You know, in this economy anyway, it's complicated. But the point is there will always be a group of people at the bottom who will not be able to, simply will not be able to survive on their own. Now, what do you want for those people? Do you want them to die in the street? Or do you want there to be a social safety net that guarantees that those people will not literally die in the street, that they will survive? And maybe, in addition to that social safety net, a jobs program to help train them and help them find a job, career counselors and stuff like that. Once they're in the pipeline, you can help them find a good job. That seems like a completely reasonable solution here, right? But this dude just wants to end food stamps completely because it's a waste of time and money and stuff? Like what?
Your interests and your talents are already there. It is possible to capitalize. Yes.
No, it isn't, actually, sometimes. You know that I'm an expert with 3D printing? I am very knowledgeable about 3D printers. How am I going to capitalize on that? What am I going to use that skill for? What company would hire me to do 3D printing? Nobody. Some skills simply are not possible to market, and that's what it is. It's wild to me that this dude is so, like, vapid and empty.
Capitalism, a good thing, by the way. It is possible to capitalize upon them. That's how society and you yourself are both helped at the same time. Asking the government for help. Look at the actions of governments throughout time. Look at Pol Pot or something like that. Yeah, real helpful for the Cambodian population.
Okay, what? We shouldn't have food stamps because Pol Pot was harmful to the Cambodian population. What? I'm sorry? Please connect the dots for me.
Look at the Chinese government. Real helpful for any dissident that happens to be in the mainland.
I'm completely lost. What are we talking about right now? I am just in the dark.
And so on forth. It's the tale of tyranny and dysfunction and, you know...
What is the tale of tyranny and dysfunction? What is? I don't understand.
Efficiency. You can be much more efficient. You can govern yourself. So, you know, that's a less dysfunctional government because you're just doing what you want to do. And so on forth. We've got a situation in which a lot of people don't really take that initiative. So my call for the next 50 years of the United States until we get to the tricentennial, take initiative. Turn your hobby into...
Wow, that's super helpful. You know what? I didn't think about that. Now that he said that, suddenly my entire life is different. He's a thinker. He is a thinker.
To a career. Trust me, if you take something that you like and you make it something that you can make money off of, oh, you'll like it 10 times better. You'll be a very, very good self-employed individual. You'll be your own good employee because you'll actually enjoy what you're doing. Or maybe it's something else. You really love cooking, so you end up becoming a chef or something. You go to culinary school. You could do that. You can do all sorts of things. You really like cars, so you become an automotive mechanic or something.
You can't do that, though, is the problem. You can't. You can't do that stuff in an economy that is garbage. In an economy that is shrinking because they're deporting undocumented immigrants, or just immigrants, period, at unprecedented rates. You can't do that in that environment. What are you smoking?
These are not beyond the ability of the average person. You don't have to be some superstar of intellect. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be the most talented person in the field. You simply have to have the motivation, the ambition, the drive. And that's half the story. Yes, you've got to gain the skill in and of itself. But if you have the motivation and ambition, you can more easily gain that skill and promulgate it and make yourself better at it. Well, there you go. There's the solution.
The solution to what? And where is the solution? This is so painfully stupid, dude. Oh my God.
That's what people need to do. If everyone were to do that more, the United States itself would also be vastly improved. There would be less people that would be reliant upon welfare and things like that, because they would have more meaningful employment.
Yeah, the guy who's on food stamps because he can't survive, his life would be way better if he just turned his hobby into a career. Why didn't he think of that? What an idiot, huh?
That would be good. They would be happier. By the way, a happier population is also a healthier population. I'm sure RFK Jr. would agree with me on this. Less stress, less susceptibility to pathogens, actually. If a person is desperately unhappy, depressed, and so forth, and just laying in bed, they are more susceptible to disease than a person who's actually feeling relatively fulfilled in life. This is also a facet of it.
This guy just solved the world in 10 minutes. He's a thinker, guys. We gotta listen to this dude more. He sounds super smart. Listen to RFK Jr., right? This is so vapid and stupid, dude. How did this guy ever have anybody who would listen to him 10 years ago? I don't understand. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comments. Absolutely wild, dude. Styx. I've actually, I want to make a graphic for this. The graphic will be a bit of a bastardization of his name. I'm going to blow this up and make it larger, but let me see if I can, I'm just trying to open Photoshop here. Let's listen to a bit more while I do the graphic for this.
No, it even helps your goddamn healthcare system. If
it's getting stupider.
the United States were to rededicate itself to this kind of civic structure, it would be a much better country. It would simply be better in virtually every way. And instead of tearing down statues, I suggest that we build more of them. That's just a mild side suggestion. It has nothing to do with the main crux of the video. That's about all. Peace out.
That was the stupidest shit I think I've heard in a while. Maybe ever? Is it safe to say ever? All right, here's the graphic I wanted to pull up for this guy. This is how I say the dude's name. Styxhexenhammers. That's basically his name in a nutshell. Styxhexenhammer666. Yeah, tell me what you think in the comments. That's so stupid, dude. Ow. 124 to 154. There's actually another video from this dude that I wanted to watch, but we'll put it off for now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me just check my list of things here that I was watching. All right, we got Sticks and Hexenhammers. Blood transfusion, cars for kids, patriots.win. I wanted to, all right, yeah, let me pull this up. So, Donald Trump said this recently. All right, no, let me think about how to start this differently. There's this extremist cell. Hang on. All right, let me try one more time. I'm going to start this video differently. There's this extremist cell called patriots.win. It's this MAGA nutcase forum. It's kind of like, it was the old The Donald subreddit before they were shut down for being too extreme. Anyway, they say some real wild stuff on here, dude. And I wanted to see what they're saying about the Iran war right now. These are the die-hardiest of the die-hard Trump supporters. So what are they saying? Trump says Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to travel to Geneva for the signing of the Iran peace deal. Trump says Vance will attend specifically for the signing ceremony, while the president himself may also travel to Geneva, depending on scheduling at the G7 summit. Okay? Here's the clip that goes with it from Fox News.
Signing ceremony on Friday. Well, it depends. JD's coming in for it. He was originally going to do it. I'll probably be gone by then.
Okay, it's just rambling nonsense. You get the idea. Anyway, I want to see how people are reacting to the Iran war in this extremist MAGA cell. Beware, there are a lot of slurs in this. It's completely uncensored. I'm sorry. I sure hope those rumored $300 billion for rebuilding Iran stay a rumor. Otherwise, it's just the old deal and 13 service members died for nothing. Right. It's rumored that Trump is going to be giving Iran $300 billion as reparations, basically, for starting the war. That was one of their conditions, their preconditions, before negotiating. All that complaining that they did about Obama releasing $3 billion in Iranian money that they owned, but the U.S. sanctioned. All that complaining about $3 billion being given back to Iran after having been taken from them, and now they're talking about giving them $300 billion in reparations. Awesome. You know, the old deal was really very good. They were living up to it. They were not building a nuclear stockpile. There were inspectors in there all the time. And Donald Trump... Oh, yeah, and the Strait of Hormuz was open. Forgot about that one. And Donald Trump went in like a wrecking ball, destroyed everything. Good job. Nah, they didn't die for nothing. They died for Israel, which, TBH, that has been the case since the end of World War II, so they got what they signed up for. Oh boy, we found the neo-Nazi. I mean, I don't like Israel either. I think they're absolutely terrible. They're an evil country right now. But when you see people talking smack about Israel on right-wing extremist forums, it's because they're neo-Nazis, not because they have some principled stand about how Palestinians should live. Long before World War II, bud, they killed our Christ because he spoke the truth about them, talking about Jews. Oh my God. The Romans killed Christ. Okay, let's keep going here. What else does it say? Is it true that we're giving Iran $300 billion? Oh boy, they're all focused on this. I love that. At least $300 billion. The Iranians won. Getting paid is their number one point on the MOU. What's the MOU? I didn't just say a slur, did I? They're getting paid. The purpose of war is getting paid. We ignore this at our own peril. No, we're just removing sanctions, but low IQ Fuentes losers don't know what this means. You don't make money by getting sanctions removed. That's so funny. That is literally exactly what Obama did. Removed $3 billion in sanctions. And that's all these Trump extremists did, was complain that Obama gave Iran $3 billion, even though it was just removing sanctions. Suddenly, there's nuance in the conversation. Huh, how about that? When it's convenient to them, now there's nuance. I'm sorry, there's a slur on there. Just editing note, we're going to have to cut that out. I saw JD on an interview about an hour ago heavily implying it. Did he say we were paying or that it would cost $300 billion to rebuild Iran? Follow up, then who is paying that money? It better not be us unless we get $1 a barrel of oil and Iran becomes Eastern Nevada. Where do you shift to the goalpost if Iran is getting paid billions? Comment removed by community filter? Wow. This comment must have been vile to be picked up by a community filter on this website. All right, what else are people saying here? Is there a way for more losers to come into this thread and shit on a peace plan when they said they didn't want war? Again, more slurs. Gonna have to blur that. I apologize. We could just blur the whole screen if a slur pops up and it's moving around. It's too difficult to erase. If you think Trump is giving them money, you are really thinking about your mom. You are? Your mom? Okay. Your mom would give them money, but not Trump. Don't be so stupid, please. Okay. We'll see. We'll see. Is Trump going to give Iran money? I guess we'll find out, won't we? Would your stance change if he does give them money? To me, that's the worst outcome, since Iran offered to accept stricter international oversight and limits on its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. I don't believe that that's the deal, but it's what I've been saying for 3 months. Anything that is worse than that deal makes this a failure. Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. The whole thing's a failure. There's no way to get a win out of this. Everything about this is a failure, and it's going to be part of Trump's legacy forever. It was a stupid, idiotic, ridiculous, dumb thing for Trump to do. And he did it on behalf of Netanyahu. He was convinced to do it by Netanyahu, to my understanding. And here we are. Good job. Not if he agreed to give them back their own money that we used the banks to freeze. Obama gave them money as a payoff. No, he literally didn't. He literally did exactly what they're describing here. Releasing sanctioned money. You have fun with hypotheticals that you like to hear all you want. Okay. That's the same thing Obama did, and F him for doing that. It's absolutely not okay. Okay. Oh my God, it's painful. Obama literally gave them some of their own money that had been frozen for decades due to the sanctions regime. So what did we fight this war for again? We're back where we were under the nuclear deal, only now Iran can now tell its people and the world that they've won a great victory against a country that consumes 51% of the planet's military spending just by not being flattened or outright surrendering. That's 100% true. Absolutely. Iran has come out the victor despite all the bombing this government ordered. Vietnam syndrome, Lamau. All the military victories in the world don't matter if you still lose in the end because you can't sustain the war. It's like saying that you beat someone in a marathon because you beat them to the first 25 miles. The moment Iran embraced terrorism, it no longer became their money. Actions have consequences. Oh my God. Okay. MAGA, I love my POTUS. Don't tell your husband. Okay. For giving away $300 billion of our money right from Obama's playbook. This truly is the uniparty. So sad, so sad. Why is Bibi not going to be there? I thought this was a joint operation. He wants war. War means money. Yeah, Bibi does want war. I mean, Netanyahu, 100%. Clown show. Wow, people are not happy about the Iran war right now. Both Marco and Pete are against this deal. I'm siding with them. Don't fall for JD peace BS. Oh, it's JD's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's JD's fault. Okay. Got it. He was raised by women. JD was raised by women. That's the problem. Got it. Okay. There was no man in his life. He's not tough enough. These people are so lost, dude. Let's see what's in the deal in order to decide whether it's worth adhering to. If it's too lenient toward Iran, we apply pressure toward Trump to break it and resume the war. Oh my God, it's so stupid. Details haven't been released, but if we are paying them money, then we are getting a worse deal than was offered before any of this. I hope none of this is true, but if it is, will have been a complete failure. It's a complete failure. It is a complete, colossal, massive, horrifying failure. Yes, it absolutely is. Are you just now realizing that? Oh, no, he's not. He still hasn't realized it. Jared is getting an island, also part of the deal. Wow, they do not like Jared. Were the fireworks even over when he flew out? Now keep an eye on the real boogeyman, Israel and Bibi. Whoever ends up going, may the Lord keep you safe. They're gaslighting on Fox right now, saying that the peace deal is going to be deadly for Israel, so expect it to get torpedoed. Interesting. I don't know if that's true, but if Fox News was really talking smack about the peace deal, quote unquote, the supposed peace deal, I believe it will be torpedoed. Absolutely. It'd be hilarious to see Trump take a picture with Khamenei. I'd only be for it if the Ayatollah is on his knees. I don't know what that means. We'll be releasing the text this week, and what everybody will see is that Iran doesn't get a dime of money unless they perform their obligations. Oh, so they are getting money then. And the money that we're talking about is fundamentally sanctions relief. Yeah, so they are getting $300 billion, I'm guessing, right? Oh my God, it's so stupid. The deal's already signed. Vance sent for ceremony. Iran will get $300 billion in our money, plus $24 billion in unfrozen assets. Art of the deal, I suppose. I honestly cannot believe this is happening. The weakness, such pathetic, inept weakness. A truly sad day for USA. Oh my God, I love it, dude. Let me actually look this deal up and see. Hang on. Okay. There is a real deal, apparently. It's been digitally signed as a memorandum of understanding, and a formal signing ceremony is set for Friday, June 19th in Switzerland. But the specific dollar figures are apparently much different than they're portraying here. On the signing, the U.S. and Iran reached a deal to end the war, reopen the Strait of Hormuz, and lift the American naval blockade, with a signing ceremony set for Friday in Switzerland, according to mediator Pakistan. The agreement has reportedly been digitally signed by both countries already, so the deal is already signed. It seems accurate, as this person said. Trump told the Wall Street Journal the deal would either be signed electronically by the president or by Vance in person. On the money, the $24 billion in unfrozen assets is real, apparently. The draft mentions the release of $24 billion in frozen Iranian assets during the 60-day negotiation period. Those are Iran's own assets that have been frozen. It's not U.S. money. Regarding the $300 billion that they're throwing around here, it doesn't appear anywhere in the reporting. None of the coverage from NBC, Al Jazeera, NPR, or CNN mentions $300 billion. I'm not sure where they're getting that from. The draft has 14 points, including a permanent and immediate cessation of hostilities on all fronts, including Lebanon, the complete lifting of the naval blockade within 30 days, a U.S. commitment to withdraw its forces from around Iran, and the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. It also mentions suspension of sanctions on oil sales, reaching a final agreement on nuclear issues within 60 days of signing, and the release of the $24 billion in frozen assets. So it seems like this is the first step to being signed. But yeah, I'm not seeing anything about $300 billion yet. Either way, $24 billion, they've been dogging on Obama for literal years for releasing $3 billion in frozen assets. And now they're releasing $24 billion in frozen assets. I love everything about it. It is so incredibly painfully stupid. These people are bottom of the barrel dumb. I'm just looking at my timestamps here. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. It's always fascinating to get a glimpse into what MAGA is up to and what they're thinking and how completely out of their gourds they are on any given issue. This one, they seem to be pretty out of their gourds. Let me know what you think. All right, I'm getting out of here. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. It's been fun, and I will see you guys Wednesday. All right? All right, later, everybody.